He says, we are all worthy of telling our stories and having them heard. We all need to be seen and honored in the same way we all need to breathe. We all need to be seen and honored. Right? And so this is our day to see and honor Scott. Right? Each in our own way, and it's going to be done through not just me. I get to be a little bit kind of the MC, the tour guide, but it's a team sport, and we all get to contribute by listening, by leaning in, by participating, I think we've got some cards that will make sure you know where they're at, and they're called like my favorite memory cards. And after we're done with this formal part, we'll spread out. You can get that paper and a pen and write a favorite memory. Those are going to go to the family. We're part of Scott's legacy. Think about Zach and his future and his legacy, to have these memories that we've all helped build and put into writing that are very special. You say, why do we do these things as a culture? I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I'm learning, number one, it's right. When someone has lived boldly and lived big, even if they've lived what they might think small leagues, right? It's worth us telling their story and celebrating. Also, it's important for us, in the midst of busyness, for us to stop and actually acknowledge someone's presence and absence physically here. It's like it makes a marker, and we'll never forget the day that we were all here and we celebrated our life. And we need this because this helps us navigate the days, weeks, months, years ahead. And then lastly, it's refreshing because you know what it reminds us? Life is short. It's just like this reminder. Life is short. And it's never as long for any of us as we would like. And so we get this opportunity tonight to lift Scott up, to celebrate him, to listen to some of his favorite music, to tell some of his stories, to hear from family, to hear from friends, to join together, to celebrate him, and also be reminded, life is short, so live big. Right? Scott, right? Everything I'm hearing about this guy, larger than life, big, entered a room, you knew it, right? Left his mark, right? That's his impact. We're going to do kind of through three short stages is kind of how we do this. The first is a time of remembering. In just a minute, I'm going to walk us just a little bit down memory road, just a few little, signposts along the way. And then I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to move into reflection. You're going to hear from some friends, you're going to hear from Zach, you're going to hear from family members, and that's going to be where we begin to reflect what it's got me does. And that's where you get to begin to think about what it means to me, so that you can put that in words later. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to all hold out our hands like this at the very end. This is a gesture of gratitude. And we say, God, our hands are open out of thankfulness that you chose to share Scott with us. Our lives are better because Scott was a part of it, right? This is gratitude. Yep. And then also we're going to say, this is also a gesture of letting go. As much as we want to hold on, right? It's in celebrations of life that we are reminded that these earth suits do not last forever, right? They all have a time that they stop working. And our bodies return in one way or another, in one form or another, to the earth. Right? The spirit, we could have a debate on what all happens to the spirit. Right? But most of us would acknowledge the spirit is on, and we know that Scott believed that, and that brought Scott great comfort. So you say, well then, what do we get to hold on to? If we're letting go of his spirit, his body, you know what I'm going to have us do at the end? And we promise to treasure the memories. So we'll put our hands over our heart and say, we promise this night that we're going to treasure our memories of him the rest of our life. It's like building a treasure chest. And we can dig it in time. Okay? That's where we're headed. We're going to remember, reflect, and release. I should have been a pastor, huh? We ours, right? Nothing is my calling. Scott had a favorite band, and I believe this was even a requested song. Is that right? Green Day, Good Riddance. So well, but that's it. The name is Good Riddance. It's the same thing, which is ironic, right? And so we brought in a musician to play and sing that song for us. So this is Scott. I'm sorry. I've never heard her sing before. Well, Scott was born June 19th, 1974. Two older sisters, Dina by 4 years, and by 2 years. Dina was like a second mom to Scott and taught him to swim and ride a bike. She said she's also the one guilty of walking him down the street to meet new neighbors when they were living in a new neighborhood, and some of those friends they made, I think, are still friends to this day. So really, really special. And it sounds like whatever he learned, especially at a young age, he would always take it and take it to the next level. Right? Like that was him. It was a go now, but to ask questions later. And they said before he was age 5, apparently 3 concussions. So a kid needed a helmet. He also years later would give the speech at Dina's wedding and coined her as Princess Narc. She wears the medallion well. Because Jay's for knocks. The second mom's got to report to the first mom, right? As you all know, a large spirit, larger than life, energy, and they could fill it in. Lived his life full throttle. Stories were amazing. Often you want to call BS on his stories, right? But every time you ran down to find out, the historical truth, you found out they were legit, and most of those really did happen. He was charming and charismatic. He became friends quickly with everyone, and everyone would tell you that they had their own special relationship with him that in many ways they thought was like none other. And in many ways it was, but yet he had those with pretty much all of them in his own way. And maybe somebody that's larger than life is able to do that. Maybe it's the way his brain was wired. I don't know, but it's beyond doubt that that's how he was. I'm understanding that he had real respect for and care about women. Started from his mother and also his aunt, Mary, and he would come to their defense. He was well-mannered, protective, and cared about these ladies. Barbie called him her sunshine, S-O-N, right? He defended her, and she defended him. I heard her response to him was always, "This was not your fault." They all told me that. What are you kidding? And they said he may have been a little shit to all of you, but he was never a little shit to her. Sorry, Kim. He was her little angel. He could do no wrong, and they really have an eternal bond. It is and was and always will be very, very special. I was told in a quote that was given to me from her was that he was the light in my life. And I heard from her family that so many things that she enjoyed about family, he learned. And he learned to love family and value it because of the model. She nurtured a sense of family within him. He learned how to make birthday celebrations special and important, and a central part of the family because of her. He was all about being heart-centered, hugging, and giving unconditional love. He learned all of that from his mother and mom. I'm told that she lived with no judgment, always caring, and always accepting. So, very, very special. Terrell was and is and always will be his ride or die partner in crime. She met through her best friend, Jane, Scott's sister, so they kind of kept it all in the first family. And every time I talk with Terrell, it's just more stories about her and Scott and their love for play. Boats, Vegas, the river, and everything in between. They were virtually never apart and loved it that way. They were very clearly soulmates. And her heart breaks knowing he is physically no longer here. Yet, she senses his presence always. With her, everywhere, and it's partly that presence that's helping carry her through even to this time. A few things that maybe some of you know about him, but maybe a few maybe don't. He ate no greens. Salad. Total meat potatoes guy. So in honor to you having salad tonight. Some of his loves and interests and passions: skateboarding, gaming, golf, chasing the ice cream truck, both as a child and as an adult. Poker, Vegas, fantasy football, dirt bike riding, and love fishing.
Oh yeah.
Love fishing. And I said, what kind? And they all said, all.
All fishing.
Right? Freshwater, saltwater, anything but ice fishing, right? And it was wild to hear that the family described to me his passion for fishing. And that a simplicity and a zen and a real presence came over him when he was fishing. And I don't know about him, this wonderful, creative, always busy brain, and how maybe that just somehow that passion, that love allowed to focus in and just breathe. He used to kind of have fun, silly competitions with Mark. Down fishing, and there would be, I heard pictures of he video shot in a big fish with him and he's good pulling together for fishing. Obviously, we know he's an incredible artist. Even at an early age, he could paint and draw anything. He had a creative mind that never stopped. Attended college for design, learned to do 3D animation. Ultimately went on to do a bunch of freelance work. Before that, he was with a company and did a bunch of planning and mock-ups, from what I'm understanding, about cell towers and housing projects and all kinds of stuff. But ultimately got to freelance, where he got to do branding and marketing and logo design. And part of the joy is when that came along, Cheryl said she was off to work, and then when it came time, Scott worked for whenever and wherever, and so he would be the one with the dog. Cheryl said he was the cute dad with the dog, going to school every day to pick up Zach from school, and then lingering, socializing. What a life! My God, I missed that calling. So that was fun. In a minute, Zach's going to come up. Well, towards the end of our show, Zach will come up, so I don't want to speak much for Zach, but I just want to say this. I know part of Zach coming into the world was a gift to his dad, to show up and help even, kids are our best. I always say kids disciple us. Kids are our mentors. They're gifts from above to help us learn so much about life and love and living and learning to live and be stretched. And I'm confident that Zach did that. And he was a gift to Scott to help him learn to show up and be present and be mellow, right? And also, yeah, that's right. And Zach also, I know, learned to say no. And that was a challenge for Scott, right? But and that was part of the growth thing for Scott, for Zach as well. Zach said his first memory, and he may say this too, so I'll just mention this briefly, is that he remembers his dad really wanting to put in the energy and to be a great dad. Pretty special. As a friend, as I mentioned, everyone who knew Scott felt that they had their own special, unique relationship with him. He was a great hugger and was known to break many pairs of sunglasses. Right? They said he would just squish sunglasses with grace. So, he lived life. And he was ready. We're going to talk more about this later, but when his time came, he was called, or we called to be to him. He was ready. He passed peace for August 28th, the evening of the fantasy football draft.
Yes.
Right, so that was some sort of shout out to his teammates. I want to end with this, and then we're going to bring up some of his friends. But if Scott could have said anything to all of you, he would say this: I'm still thinking about you. Please know you're not alone and know how much I care about my mom. So there are two friends we're going to hear from, and I don't know if they rock, paper, scissors to know who's going first. I'll let them work it out. But one is Rob and one is Ryan.
Do it right up. All right. A public speaker, so I might have to read a little bit, but my best. So, my name is Ryan Fisher, and I've had the honor and pleasure of being Scott's president for 15 years. I didn't grow up with Scott, but the first time I met him and Carol, we had an instant connection, and we're destined to be lifelong friends. I met Scott through my cousin Bob. Bob and I hung out a lot, and I pretty much knew all of his friends. One weekend, Bob went away to Palm Springs, and when he got back, he kept insisting that I need to meet his new friends, Scott and Carol, ASAP. I could tell from his excitement these must be some pretty awesome people. Well, Bob was not wrong. I met Scott and Carol, and shortly after that, we were off to the river to embark on our new friendship. We spent many weekends together out the river, and also back in town. It was during these times, these early times, that I begun to recognize what a special man Scott is. If you're lucky enough to be considered a friend by Scott, you were treated like family. And that's what sticks out to me the most about Scotty. Scott was a man of respect and integrity. If you were wrong, he'd let you know it. He would speak up, not because it was easy or that he wanted to be right, but because he cared and wanted to see the best in his friends. Scott was truly one of the most generous and humble people I've ever met. I can list many examples of this, but let me just say throughout the years we spent together, Scott proved his generosity time and time again. I was always in awe of Scott's kindness and selfless desire to see others happy. Out at the river, Scott was always one step ahead of me with the work, making sure everything ran smoothly out there. If we weren't in the desert shooting, Scott always had a line in the water and landed many bass and catfish. His efforts and dedication to being a stand-up man never went unrecognized with me. I always knew in the bottom of my heart, if I'm ever in any sort of a bind, I could always count on Scott for help. To me, Scott is legendary. He influenced me to be a better person and to view the world from a different angle than I had been. He was always optimistic and happy about life, and how his outlook was contagious. I'm so grateful I had the opportunity to call Scott my friend and spend time with him while he was here. And I'll always cherish and remember our river trips, parties at Scott and Terrell's house, and fishing on Scott's boat. Bob was the one who introduced me to Scott, and it's hard for me to even think that they are both no longer with us. But it warms my heart a little knowing they are back together again, waiting for the rest of us. In typical Scott fashion, I'm sure he'll be throwing some big rave parties when we head up to see him again. Until then, Scott, I love you, and I'll always remember you. And his freestyle here, you know, he's just such a great man, and just such a great influence on me, and just a great example of how to be kind and caring, and just show your love for other people, and not just think about yourself. Scott was the type of guy, he would always think about other people and put other people first. I've even heard some good stories just here today about how he did that, and I'm sure people will share their stories, but that's what I have to say.
Okay, well, after a while.
On behalf of all our friends, I'll get over this. I'll get in. Just on behalf of all our friends.
You're good.
You know, Scotty. My wife and I know Scotty. Church Street days. Church Street. The whole crew was there. Everybody got to hang out. Chip, Dan, Joe, Mike, Jeff. Well, I can't name them all, but it was just an awesome place where we all got together. It was a good time. It was the simpler time before work was so stressful, before we had kids. Freaking COVID, we could just hang out.
Seriously.
And we spent a lot of time together. So it was a good time that we really got to hang out. And so when we did, Scotty and I, we became pretty fast friends. We had a lot of common, I think. Love of music, love of design, a lot of beer. Yeah, and we both, I think we had the same sense of humor, we were talking about the same things. We both, I think we had the same, both good detector, a lot of people, pardon my French. But we could recognize that, we could call that on each other or on anyone else without really saying anything, just with a look. It was kind of that quiet, unspoken thing you have with someone, which is nice. But also, funny because quiet and unspoken, not really Scott.
Got that smirk. The smirk tells all.
But he was a loud dude.
He was loud.
Yeah. You hear that guy at a little of a crowded party, like 3 houses away. I can hear Scotty's voice. Yeah. And the laugh. The laugh.
Yeah. So contagious.
That piercing, it's all freaking awesome, the best laugh. It was just pure, it was Scotty distilled, and I loved it because it was just, you knew he was having a good time, and he wanted to have a good time. But, he had his serious moments too. He could be a serious guy. He had standards, he had morals. Might have been different than some of ours, but
For better or for
I was in line with them, and we stood by him, and Terrell and Scotty instilled some good principles in their son. Yeah. Obviously, something worked because look at the guy.
Yeah.
solid man. You're gonna be just fine from the store. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be good. So, he was loyal. He's a loyal, very loyal friend. I think we all know that. Everyone who's friends with him. He knew who his friends were, and he would stick with them through anything. He always had your back through thick and thin, through good and bad. You knew Scotty would be there for you. And there was some bad times. The last couple of years were not easy. His health took a turn and it was tough, but Terrell was there. So thank you for being there.
Amen.
By his side, being his rock and his family too, especially the last few months. Very supportive, very amazing. So I just want to thank you guys for taking care of our boy. But better times ahead. It's going to be good, but we'll miss him. We'll miss a lot of things about him. We'll miss throwing darts in the garage. I can't tell you how many hours just throwing darts or shooting pool with that guy. We'll miss the conversations in the backyard, just shooting the shit for hours and hours. Yeah, about music, guns, football, politics, maybe sports. I'll miss golfing with the guy. I'll miss Halloween nights.
The best.
Yeah, all right. You know what I hope is still on is the homemade pot pies. Just those. River trips. Everybody's got their things. We'll miss FSU. For those who know, that was his fantasy football moniker. And I'll miss giving him endless crap about his terrible fantasy football picks. But most of all, I'm gonna miss that laugh.
Yeah.
You know? You can hear it. I can hear it right. Sorry, I can hear it right now. Just clowning me right now. He
totally
clowning me for standing up here and trying to talk about him. Cheers, buddy. I'm out. Thank
Hug everybody.
Oh yeah, let's go down. COVID for everyone.
All right, put this on the glass real quick over there. Facing. You just do that with the clip. Yeah, and then just turn it around. Cool.
Princess, no. He was such a wild boy. He was just such a spirit, such a strong love for life, zest for life. You could see it in his sparkling blue eyes and that smile, the infectious laugh, famous laugh, cackle maybe. From when he was so small was just gregarious and just wanted to live life to the fullest. And I think that's what he taught us, is that he did live full throttle. He did push the limits. He did have a lot of concussions. Scared my mom to death. Scared me to death too. He always came back safe out. But one story I have to say was during his at the hotel where he was really on hospice and kind of recovering. He ordered a electric wheelchair. Oh no! Yeah. And so this thing comes and it's huge, and I'm like, Bobby, my husband, can you maybe put this thing together? He really wants this. I don't know. I mean, he has no use of his legs. Can we at least let him cruise around in this thing? And he's like, in the hotel room? I'm like, yeah. He kind of needs
I love you
speed
too.
in his life, and that was always his addiction to adrenaline and just getting out and feeling the wind in his hair or black hair. Just feeling the wind in his face. Yeah, he was really really into that feeling and getting to live life to the fullest. That was part of it. So Bobby did come and build that electric wheelchair, and we all looked at it, and he's like, "Is it charged? Is it charged?" He's sitting there with the bed. Is it charged? Yeah. I think it's charging. But so we left the hotel room before it had fully charged. Right? We said it's probably going to be an hour or so. It's going to be fully charged. And I heard that he was ripping all around, hitting the baseboards, and he already dinged it up a little bit. Then we come to the part where we're going to go back home, and he's going to be in his own home and be there with Zach. And really, coming back to home was a tough thought process and all, because it was just kind of the end of this this journey in the hotel. And so he had that electric scooterish wheelchair, and they were packing, and we were, for days actually, we started ahead of time packing this hotel and getting it back to home and how it was going to happen. And it was a Saturday, I had my kids, so I wasn't there, so I was nervously calling Terrell all the time. Okay, so is everything good? Are you going to check out by 11:30? Oh, don't think so, Gina. Not 11:30. Okay, how about like 2? Do we need to pay for another day? Oh, yeah, it's getting really hard to get out of here. He has a lot of stuff. Like, he wants all the stuff with him, and he likes to build things. He likes to make things. So always we had, things that he was building and constructing and art designing.
It was in an apartment.
It was always there. Yeah, it all had to travel with him. In fact, he was so dead set this day that we were moving that he needed to go to Ace Hardware. So Ace Hardware was
I needed a few things.
Whatever widget. I need this thing. I'm going to Ace Hardware. We'll get you there. And Terrell was very good at calming him. You were amazing. We'll get there after we get home. But first we need to get home. And so they pack the cars. We have 3 or 4 cars. Jenny's there, Peyton, everybody helping get this move going. And I'm calling it still 5 o'clock at night. Have you guys checked out? Are you guys out of this hotel yet? I'm going to meet you at the home and make sure he gets in there. I have someone that could take the wheelchair in a van. And with my mother-in-law, we use this person all the time. It's really convenient. No, we don't need it. We don't need it.
Oh.
Anyway, we get down.
Be yourself.
And I get 2 hours later a call from Jenny. She's like, "We lost him."
Yeah. She lost him.
We lost him.
Yeah.
So they were packing the cars, and he just took off. So they have hotel security looking. They have the police department looking. And she's like, "It's been 2 hours. Like, we've called hospice. We've called all these people. We don't know what to do." And I'm like, "What are you going to do when you find him, Jenny?" So I call Bobby. I'm like, "You're never going to believe this, but we've lost him." He's coming back from a golf tournament, and it just had to be 7 o'clock at night. So the sun's down, sun's going down. I'm really worried. We just need to find him. He goes, "You're not
2 hours.
I'm driving up PCH, and I see that thing I think I put together." He goes, "I'm going to come pick you up." I go, "Don't come pick me up. Go over there right now. Get him. We might lose him again. Go over there." And I'm not sure it's him, but I'm going to go. Turns around. Sure enough, pulls up. He goes, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Get in the truck. Bobby somehow lifts this 150-pound wheelchair and Scotty into the truck and pulls up out front here. And by that time, I called Mom, Cheryl, everyone saying, "We found him. We found him." We pull up. Or Bobby pulls up in the truck. He rolls down the window and he goes, "Mommy, I got busted." So riding in the car, so frustrated with him, but riding in the back seat to go to the house, and he goes, "That was the best. That was the best day." And I can see that he didn't have that wind in his face. He didn't have, it was 9 miles.
9 miles.
I'm surprised to think
Yeah.
miles in a wheel. And ending up Dover is where Bobby actually is. Yeah. And I just feel like that's part of his last like hurrah, that he just needed this space, this air, this wind in his face, and to just breathe in that adrenaline and feel that surge of living life.
Life.
That's how he lives
Life.
right?
Amen.
So I love everything that he gifted all of us in different ways, and that he did live life to the fullest, and he did give us this, we're Gary's bigger than life person that he was, and I want to read a letter. Well, it's called A Letter from Heaven. When tomorrow starts without me, and I'm not here to see, if the sun should rise and find your eyes filled with tears for me, I wish so much you wouldn't cry the way you did today while thinking of the many things we didn't get to say. I know how much you love me, as much as I love you, and each time you think of me, I know you'll miss me too. And when tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart, for every time you think of me, I'm right there in your heart. I will forever be Princess Nark. I will be reporting on Zach and Tara. And I will be calling up to heaven, reporting everything happening. And you best know I will be sharing our family as we go on without Scotty, our precious Scott Wesley.
What was it? What you doing? I don't know.
Okay, I think Sister Jenny. Yeah. And then Zach will come and the closer.
Great job.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Love you.